So those of you that follow the moto vloggers on social networks have probably heard about the crisis we got going on out here this week, where the federal government wants to shut down some of the trails in Utah that we like to ride. And if you want a very well thought out, well delivered, civil, even-handed video on that matter, then I recommend going and checking out eveRide's video from last week. If you just want to hear a less civilized, less well thought out, not so well delivered, basically just a rant by a pissed off redneck telling you what he thinks, stick around. So first of all, I wanted to say thank you to those of you who donated to my campaign to become King of the United States of America. I really appreciate that. You know, y'all know, like, that's not necessary. I'm gonna put videos out and put the message out and try to become king regardless. But I do appreciate it. You know, it's the fan funding. It's kind of a fun thing. Let's not take it too seriously. If sharing a video or liking a video just isn't enough of an attaboy for you to give me, then go ahead and throw $1 in the tip jar. Appreciate that. Also, thanks to those of you who liked the Facebook page this week. There was a whole lot this last week that started liking on the Facebook page and sharing some of the videos on the Facebook page. So appreciate that, especially Steel Horseman. Yeah, and you sent a bunch of people my way. Appreciate it. All right, let's get down to some king business. So, as you all might have guessed, if I'm king, then we're not going to do any of this nonsense of shutting down perfectly good trails to be ridden. I mean, are you kidding me? So here's the thing that kind of really gets under my skin about that stuff, is it seems like the people who have proximity to the trails are not the people who want to shut down the trails. It seems like the people making the decisions to do it are in Washington, like 1,500 miles away from the trails in Utah. And the people pressuring them to do it, they don't live in Utah either. So, you know, if I'm king, states are going to do what states want with their land. So, we wouldn't have this problem if I was king. You all starting to see the benefit of me being king? The other thing, if I'm king, is I'm not going to have any tolerance for nonsense. I mean nonsense. I mean stuff that has no sense. Because I looked into why some of the people who really want these trails closed are wanting to close them, and they just don't make sense. I mean, some people are worried that we're hurting the earth. Like literally, the trails themselves are a problem. It's unnatural to ride vehicles because it causes unnatural kinds of erosion. They're basically worried that we're going to hurt the dirt and the rocks. Seriously. I mean, I was just in Utah riding. I rode for 2 days straight in Utah on trails just like these that we're talking about closing, and not once did I ever hear a rock or a piece of dirt crying. Not once. So I'm pretty sure I didn't hurt the dirt and the rocks that I was riding on. I mean, it's not even like this is rainforest, okay? It's desert, all right? That's really the only thing it's good for is riding. The other reason I've seen a lot of these trails being closed down is for endangered species. I just don't know that that's such a bad thing. I mean, isn't it kind of a good thing that species become endangered and then eventually extinct? I mean, does anybody want to have to deal with a freaking velociraptor on their way to work? I don't. You know, and I'm pretty skeptical that that's even a thing. You know, like, it seems to me like if you're going to kill a turtle while riding a motorcycle, you kind of have to go out of your way. And if you're going to kill enough to actually make them extinct, then you got some kind of talent that I ain't got. You know who I wish was an endangered species is the Envirosapiens. Are you all familiar with Envirosapiens? Or they look a lot like Homo sapiens, except their brains are just a little bit different. They have this intense guilt, nobody knows why, and they try to alleviate it by taking freedoms away from other people. And then Envirosapiens is some of the folks also wanting to close down these trails for nonsensical reasons. I actually read this. I read this week. This is a real thing. You aren't going to blame me because it's so stupid, but it's a real thing. Somebody wanted to close down the trails because vehicles like this, combustion motors, are the biggest threat to our planet. Alright then. So let's just say that that's like 100% true. Alright? Like this planet's going to be is going to be unable to sustain life like ours in 200 years, mostly because of the combustion engine. Let's just say that that's a real thing. I don't believe that, but, you know, for sake of argument, let's just say that that's a thing. They actually think off-road vehicles in the desert in Utah are actually a contributing factor to that. You actually think that that's more than a drop in the bucket. I mean, that's like a drop in the ocean, all right? I mean, if you think that, I got a couple of questions for you. One, have you ever been on a jet airplane? Because if so, you did more than I'm ever going to do on this motorcycle to cause air pollution. All right? Two, have you ever had a child? Because if you did, again, you did more than I ever will on this motorcycle to cause air pollution. Third question, why do you keep your head so far up your ass? Is it just because shampoo, warmth? Is that how you stretch? I don't understand. Now, don't get me wrong. We should all be good stewards of the environment. We should all do our part to try to leave things better off than the way we found them. But there's families out in Utah for generations. That's been their lifestyle. They've been out there trying to, you know, enjoy their nature, enjoy families by riding off-road vehicles on those trails. And they're just not hurting anything, despite what anybody says. We should leave them folks alone and let them continue to have their lifestyle. Another reason people want to close these trails off to OHV is because of noise. That's got to be the stupidest reason. Now, on one of the motorcycles I ride, it has the stock exhaust pipe, and on the other one, it's got a Q4. The Q stands for quiet. So my preference is to have quieter exhaust. But I don't mind if other people have loud exhaust. Like, yeah, sometimes it's uncomfortable when they go by, but I'm not going to close down a trail to be more comfortable. In fact, if you run really loud pipes, I got one thing to say to you. Thank you. I can hear you coming from a quarter mile away, and it makes me feel safer. So I will say this about the loud pipe camp. With them, at least it's the easiest to tell what's actually going on in their head. And I think they're all the same way. I just think it's easiest to see with them. Obviously, they just don't like what we're doing, right? Because if you come to a trail that I went down with a loud exhaust pipe an hour earlier, can you tell that I did that? No. You just don't like what I'm doing. So what I'm trying to say here is I just don't think that the people wanting to close these trails, at least too many of them, I don't think that they're being genuine in what they're claiming our negative impact on that ecology is. I think our impact on that land is much less than they claim, and they know it. And the fact of the matter is, they just don't like what we're doing. Like, our values conflict with their values. Their values is to keep things as absolutely pristine as possible. And our values are that it's okay to have a minuscule negative impact on an ecology in the pursuit of adventuring into it and embracing it and enjoying it for everything it has to offer. And our values conflict, and I don't blame them for having different values, but it concerns me that in the name of their values, they're using the giant government to take away the freedom for people that they're currently enjoying. And the tables were reversed. I don't think I'd be doing the same. I don't think I'd be wanting to open up a pristine area and put down trails where there aren't any already. So I think the real difference between me and them is that I'm afraid of using the government to impose my values on other people, because then I'm afraid somebody will turn around and use that government to impose their values on me. And 100 years from now, that land's going to look about the same whether we close them trails or not. But the one thing that'll be unrecognizable because of erosion is our freedoms. So, that's all I got to say about that. Over and out. Alright, y'all, check this out. You see that rock right there? That one right down there? I'm going to roll my front tire up onto that rock, and it ain't going to hurt it. Ready? Watch carefully. Those of you worried about us hurting rocks and dirt on the trails, you're going to see. See right there. Put my tire on it. Let's keep it right there. Oh, oh my. Oh goodness. I'm so sorry. Oh man. Okay. Alright. Apparently I was mistaken. So, alright. Close the damn trails.